Well, good afternoon to you. Trucker Todd here, and time for another video. All right, folks, we got something that a lot of you have been asking me about. We're going to talk about it. I'm going to give you my opinion throughout this news story, but the title of the article comes from the Trucker. I'll throw a link. I'll pin it in the comments so y'all can check out the article yourself. Comes from the Trucker. It says OOIDA, the Owner-Operator Independent Driver Association, who's typically an advocate for owner-operators, supports a new bill to ban predatory truck leasing. Now, generally speaking, OOIDA does a lot of things that benefit the truck driver. Sometimes they're in some questionable areas. It's like anybody else. You're not going to agree with them on everything. I think on this one, the heart's in the right place. There are a lot of predatory lease purchase options out there, especially in the Chicago area in Illinois, and also in the Los Angeles area in Southern California. But I've said before in other videos, I think most lease purchases are bad, and I think a majority of them are designed for you to fail. But I also believe there's some good ones out there, and I've gave some examples of that. I've said that I think Swift Transportation has a very good lease purchase program. I think Dart Transit has a very good lease purchase program. And so far, I really like the RE Garrison lease purchase program. All lease purchase programs, you're going to pay a little more, but your financial risk is a lot less. Many of them are walk-away leases. Most of them don't require a credit check or a down payment. So there's a trade-off there, and you have to consider that. But generally speaking, I'm not too fond of the government getting involved in an agreement made between two people. You are presented a contract when you do a lease purchase, and you have to do your due diligence and read that contract and know what you're getting yourself into. I think personal responsibility is a factor here that we're not introducing into the conversation. You have to be responsible for you. And, you know, that's the same goes when you're applying at a trucking company. You need to do your research and know what you're getting yourself into. Ask lots of questions. And no deal is better than a bad deal. Always remember that, and walk away from a bad deal, especially if you think it's a predatory lease or something like that. All right, let's jump into this article. I've already read you the title. It says the Owner-Operator Independent Drivers Association, I'm going to call them OOIDA for the rest of this article, is announcing its strong support for the Predatory Truck Leasing Prevention Act of 2025. And again, at the end of this video, I'm going to tell you if I think this is something we need to be worried about or not. The legislation was introduced by the U.S. Representative Julia Brownlee, Democrat, surprise, surprise, of California, to prevent greedy and deceptive carriers from offering contracts to take advantage of truck drivers. I like the wording there. They're offering the contracts. Nobody is holding anything to your head and saying you have to sign this, you have to do this. I mean, anyway, we'll get to that. OOIDA and truckers across America applaud Representative Brownlee for taking on the predatory lease purchase schemes that have fleeced truck drivers for decades, said Todd Spencer, OOIDA president. These scams dangle the promise of ownership, but leave truck drivers broke, trapped in debt, and kicked to the curb with nothing to show for it. The schemes represent the worst in trucking, and the Predatory Truck Leasing Prevention Act would put a stop to this practice once and for all. I just got a question here. So they talk about the people that fail, but they don't talk about the people that succeed. I'll give you an example. I've met several people here at RE Garrison that have paid off trucks, or they're paying off their balloon payment now. If these lease purchases are so predatory, how did they do it? And so anyway, just something for you to think about, something for you to chew on while I'm finishing this article. It says, drivers trapped in crushing debt. Current predatory leasing arrangements exploit hard-working truck drivers who simply trying to build a career and support their families, Brownlee said. Far too many drivers are trapped in crushing debt, denied fair pay, and prevented from ever owning their trucks. These abusive practices push dedicated workers out of the industry, create unnecessary financial stress, and even put drivers and the public at risk on our roads. My bill will help put an end to these abusive practices, level the playing field for drivers by giving them a fair shot at ownership, strengthen trucking workforce, and make our roads safer. All right, let's talk about that for a second. Whether you're a truck driver or not, how many of us are facing crushing debt right now? I would say most of us, especially in trucking. The economy stinks. I read a deal the other day about how credit card debt is going up like crazy. Something like 80% of credit cards are maxed out. And these are people that are not even in trucking for the most part. Some of them are, obviously. So if we're going to say that everybody's in debt because of lease purchase, then we probably are to say that everybody's also in debt because of predatory practices of the government, the tax code, things like that. So there's plenty of blame to go around. And let's talk about how you get debt. You get debt by going out and buying something. That's a conscious decision you made. And whether it be a lease purchase truck that you knew was too much money when you bought it, whether it's a house, whether it's a car that you knew, I mean, we're all guilty at some point in our life of living outside our means, and I think most of us are guilty of it on a day-to-day basis. Also, with the holidays coming up, Christmas, Thanksgiving, people are going to spend more on Christmas and Thanksgiving than what their budget would allow. And I would say that has just as much to do with crushing debt as it does with lease purchases. Now we're going to talk about the FMCSA Truck Leasing Task Force. Say that 3 times real fast. The new legislation was drafted after the FMCSA and the Truck Leasing Task Force found that 90% of these agreements end in driver default. And we've talked about that. I had 15 strokes in one day. You may notice it when I stutter occasionally. That had nothing to do with the company or the person that referred me to that company. That had to do with health problems. So that's an example. I know a guy that recently got custody of his kids. He had to come off the road and take care of his kids. Was he involved in a predatory lease, or was he just a good family man taking care of his family? I know another guy that his wife had health problems. He had to come off the road, take care of her. Was that a predatory lease, or was that him being a good husband? I also know another guy that owner-operator, well, he was doing a lease purchase also. He moved his truck to another company, and so he technically didn't complete his lease purchase at that company. He paid it off and moved it. Does that mean that that company was bad? I mean, there's situations that we don't consider of why people might get out of leases. And that's why the walk-away lease option is such a good deal. If you are in a standard purchase type contract and something bad happens, you have 15 strokes, you got to go home, take care of kids, parents got ill, something like that, that's going to show up on your credit. You're probably going to be sued, but in a walk-away lease, you can get out of it. Now, well, we'll get to what I think. I'm biting my tongue, believe it or not. Stick with me. I'm biting my tongue. Here's another one that I don't know about this. Truckers frequently work over 70 hours a week to keep our supply chain intact, and they deserve fairness at every turn, OOIDA say. Well, that's part of the problem, actually. We have a 70-hour rule. you should not be working more than 70 hours. Technically it's in 8 days, but I mean, you got to ask yourself why. If you're cheating on your logbook, even with electronic logs, yes, it's possible, then that's the problem. That drives down wages. If you're willing to do work for free or compress your work like that, then you're part of the problem. Now, I'm all for maximizing your logbook, not wasting minutes, not wasting time. The only line on a logbook you make money on is the drive line, line 3. And so that's the line you need to be on the most. The other lines you need to be on as little as legally possible. But you should still log it like you drive it. And if the problem is, and I've said this in other videos, if the problem is you can't make a living working 70 hours a week, then the solution is not that you need to be able to work 75 or 80 hours a week. The solution is you need to be working for somebody that values your time and pays you a fair wage for the work you do. And until drivers start thinking like that, whether it's a company driver job, lease purchase, owner operator, if you can't make a living, most people are working 40, 50 hours a week and they're supporting their family and they're home every night. If you can't be out on the road weeks at a time and work 70 hours a week and take care of your family and your needs, then the problem is elsewhere. It's not that you need to work more hours. Maybe you need to budget. Maybe you need to work on your finances. Or maybe you need to find a different carrier. So what do I think on this? I think there will be some changes eventually that will come down the line for predatory leases, for lease purchase agreements, but I think it'll be several years down the line, and here's why. Companies have known this is coming for a while, and they've already made changes to their lease purchase contracts. They've already talked to their legal teams, tried to figure out how to prepare for this. But even when something passes, there will be legal challenges. It'll go to court. It'll probably end up in the Supreme Court. And so that stuff takes time. And so nothing's going to happen overnight. If you're currently in a lease, it'll probably be near completion by the time this gets settled. And I don't believe they're going to throw, for lack of a better word, two consenting adults out of a lease agreement. For example, if I'm here at RE Garrison and RE Garrison thinks I'm in a fair lease purchase and I think I'm in a fair lease purchase, I find it hard to believe that the government's going to kick me out of that lease purchase agreement. But we'll see. I'm curious to know what y'all think about it. I'm actually kind of dreading it. I know I'm going to catch a lot of heat in the comments, but y'all leave your comments below. Tell me what you think about this and check out the article yourself. All right, folks, until next time, I think we got a video coming out later today. Y'all have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.